All right, everyone, we start off today by noting that the Republicans once again are attempting to do what Republicans do best, which is fucking lose. Yes, the Senate Republicans have latched on to a bill. It's so-called bipartisan. I notice Rand Paul's not a fan of it. The other non-neocons in the Senate, unfortunately a minority within the GOP, they're all against it. Murkowski, McConnell, Romney, all of the other useful idiots up there, they're all in favor of this. Trying to parse foreign aid spending away from the border bill. The idea is that the House has held up the so-called border bill, which is mainly foreign aid anyway. It provides a few peanuts for the border, and then basically, as Laxalt, I think, called it, contains an impeachment trap so that Trump can't stop funding Ukraine at any given point in the future, assuming that it passes through. That's been held up now for some time. So the Senate is creating its own bill. It doesn't address the border. It's simply foreign spending. Here's the pig in a pokery. If the Senate bill passes, you're giving a bunch of money to Ukraine, to Israel, and to Taiwan. There's no address of the border. It's just a foreign aid bill, and it's over $90 billion. Million? Oh, that's a drop in the bucket. Oh, that's child's play. These people wipe their ass with $1 million, just to be clear. Senators, it's a very lucrative career if you can get in there. You have to be really corrupt, but if you do some insider trading, you can end up with $100 million net worth, and if your name happens to be Pelosi or something like that, all that Raytheon stock and everything else and whatever. It's just about the border bill. Here's what I think. Number one, the House Republicans are absolutely retarded if they vote in favor of this. They should block it completely. Number two, if it does pass. So you've got your spending on foreign bullshit. You've funded the Ukraine proxy war some more. You've given Taiwan more money, even though you should just be diplomatically urging them to form a militia. By the way, I'm going to be getting an AR-15 in a few days. It was sent to me gratis. Boy, that's going to be one hell of a shout-out. It's even engraved with my logo. That's fine. You defend Taiwan and all this bullshit. But if you pass it, they will still seek to get more foreign aid in the border bill. They're not going to cut that part out of the border bill and say, okay, we'll do this separately. So here's a Senate proposal. Drop the initial House border bill, and then we'll have a clean bill. Do you really think that this incarnation of Congress is capable of passing a clean bill anyway? No, they'll load it up with pork anyway. If it's not foreign spending, it'll be something else. Here's the legal defense against Trump portion of the bill. Section 13. Congress shall allocate $5 billion to help screw Donald Trump and his supporters, or something like that. Okay, they dropped the Ukraine and Israeli aid from the House border bill in exchange for this bill being passed or something. That doesn't mean that they're not still going to spend a bunch of pork. It's still not going to help the section with regards to adjudicating automatically in D.C., which is quite clearly for a reason. The liberals put that in for a reason. The neocons go along with it. Romney and McConnell, as well as some of the House leadership, saying, we need to stop the deadlock, guys. We got to pass it. It's a must-pass bill. No, it's not. Border bill's not about the border. The foreign aid bill is completely retarded. We have hundreds of thousands of people in the United States that are homeless. We have an addiction crisis. We have all sorts of problems in our own home country, and you're effectively printing a shit ton more money. Again, almost $100 billion. Billion with a B. That's a lot of money. It may not sound like a lot to the people in D.C., or to Elon Musk at this point, but it is a lot of money. It represents a lot of money that the taxpayers have to absorb in the form of inflation. You're printing it out of thin air and sending it to foreign countries. We can't afford it, though, anymore. We simply can't. Under the Keynesian concept, we can just print money endlessly, and it's all good. Nobody really cares. Pragmatically speaking, though, when you're doing the trade and travel thing with other countries, your purchasing power matters. The balance of the dollar's worth matters. Your fiscal capabilities matter. Like other countries, who's going to want to invest in a country, for example, as the United States is in temporary decline under Bidenomics? Who wants to invest in the United States if they think, well, they might go a little bit too far and end up with a depression or something like that? People aren't going to make that bad. They're all investing in India and shit right now. They're investing in India, a few East European countries, Thailand, the Philippines, and places like that to an extent although somewhat lessened, China, at some point you got to pay the piper. At some point, you know, the music does actually stop. The Senate Republicans are insane to have largely voted in favor of this bill. And I notice, again, if you read the list of senators that are trying to sell the U.S. downriver by snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, because you could just block this and say, what are you doing? Give us a clean border bill, then we'll talk about the foreign aid. We're going to take care of the domestic problem first. We're parsing out a couple of the portions of this bill that don't make any sense, like the D.C. adjudication, the impeachment trap that Luke Salt memoed off to every House Republican. Get rid of that. Give us the border bill. It's not perfect. It is a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, but at the very least, we've done something. At the very least, something has been accomplished. It's a little bit better. Okay, instead of 10,000 people crossing the border illegally, tomorrow it'll be 9,500. Well, it is still a difference. We tried. We put on our big boy pants and an attempt was made. Gold star for participation. But the Republicans would be crazy to go along with this. The House Republicans, several of them are saying, like, this is DOA. This is never gonna happen. I'm almost thinking that it could. You've got like a 3-vote majority in the House, so you don't need that many defectors. Just to be clear, they'd be crazy to bring it to the floor. Don't even debate it. Just say, nope, we're not going to go along with this. You're fucked. Doesn't care. We don't care if the Senate passes it. Rip the bill to shreds, because you have to bounce it back to the Senate, right? Rip it to shreds, cut it into pieces, effectively invert the entire bill, and then send it back to the Senate. They won't pass it. The neocon Republicans won't vote for it. Rand Paul would. That'd be funny. By the way, Bernie Sanders actually voting against this. A handful of left-wing senators joined with the minority of Republicans that effectively make up the more populist side to vote against this bill because it doesn't make any sense. When Bernie Sanders is being more sane than the neoliberals, that's when you know that it's a dead bill. It's a terrible, terrible idea. Again, the Republicans have made a big stink for months now over the border, which is a good thing because there is a border crisis. Now you've got the pig in a pokery of spending the foreign aid and not even addressing the U.S. border. Well, the next incarnation of the border bill probably would be even worse. You know, again, they're still going to load it with pork. They're not going to parse it down. They might parse the Ukraine and Israel portion. I mean, if that's taken care of by a separate bill, they might parse that out, but they're still going to load it with pork somehow. Instead of just being $20 billion for the U.S. border, this is for more Border Patrol agents and barriers and stuff like that. Instead of doing something clean, something streamlined, it gets bogged down in legalese, and any John Doe in the Senate or House can add whatever fucking riders they want, apparently, and it's not a big problem. And so they'd be crazy to pass it, but they're crazy. So, I don't know. It might actually get through the House. Again, several people claiming it's DOA. They might be nuts enough to actually pass it in its current form. Thus, again, punching themselves in the face like the most stupid orangutan in the zoo. That's about all. Peace out.